All the cars have been carried over to the starting grid. The mechanics are topping the tanks off to the brim. This is a long, long race. The countdown has begun. 5 seconds to start. The cars are put down. The mechanics step back. We are racing in a European Championship final from where? In Hertford. Over the first set of jumps, they go down the green mile for the first time, and then into the EFRA double tabletops. It's a good start up front from our first 4 cars. They start to gap the rest of the first 3 cars start to gap the rest of the field already as they go over the double for the first time. It's Joao who blinks first, makes a bad landing coming off that double jump, puts Tony Truman through to the lead. Tony Truman leads as they go over the VRC mountains. The first 3 cars coming together. They are together as they go over the left-hand side of the track. Callum Niblett making a move around the outside to move up to second. Tony Truman starting to get away a little bit in the lead, but then lands it really badly on the far corner on the circuit. Drops him down 3 or 4 places. Oh, and then a mistake from Callum going through the high-speed chicane. Marshall's trying to get there, but he's got a train of cars. That's put Jal Figero out in front. He goes down the green mile for the first time at full racing speed. It's the number 5 of Juan Carlos who runs in second. And the number 4 of Ricardo Burton who is third. Our leader clears the double now. Into the step up, step off. Second and third places, the battle. Going through the off-camber section there. Back to the centre of the circuit they go. Our leader clears the mountains. Then over the small roller into the left side of the track. Starting to gap. Jal Figero starting to put a small gap over the rest of the field. Tony Truman now dropping down the pack. Tony took the lead on the first lap but has dropped down the field. Second place now is number 5 of Juan Carlos, followed by Ricardo Burton. Over the difficult green mile they go, clearing that one nice and neat. Behind them is the 7 of Jonathan Skidmore, then the 3 of Callum Niblett. Still a long, long way to go. Not even 2 minutes down. Our leader is upside down. A big, big mistake then from Joao. And that puts Juan Carlos through into the lead. Ricardo's up to second. Joao is down to third. Through the far corner they come, down the step downs. And onto the front straight. Our leader comes down the straight. Second, third place crossing the timing lines. Fourth place across the timing line. Gives you an idea of the gap we have between our first 4 cars. About 1.5 seconds between each of them as they go across the green mile. This race only 2.5 minutes old. Still a long, long way to go. Tony Truman making up a few places on that lap, moving up into about the 6th or 7th spot after his fantastic start. It all went wrong for him at the end of lap number 1. He dropped down the field. Out in front, the leaders coming over the backside tabletop. The battle behind them going on through the mountains, then up through the left-hand side of the circuit. We have a 4-car breakaway at the front of the field. Joao makes another mistake. Rolls it over, coming off the banking. Drops himself down the field. So it's the 5 of Juan Carlos, here from Spain, driving the Hobao, leads the field. Second place is the number 4 of Ricardo from Italy. Third and fourth places together on the track now. Over the left side, through the small tabletop at the back of the circuit. Pole sitter Joao dropping down to 4th now. As Jonathan Skidmore in the 7 is up into the 3rd place. Oh, mistake from our leader. That was the 5 of Juan Carlos putting it off the track. A 2-way battle for the lead, nose to tail now. Over the double jump they go to the far side of the circuit. Through the off-camber section. Juan Carlos. Oh, and then we have a mistake from our 2nd place car. Ricardo rolling it over. Juan Carlos now given a bit of breathing space at the front. Jonathan Skidmore. Jal Figero. That's the running order at the moment as they come across the line as we approach the 4.5 minute mark. 1/10 of the race distance down. 5, 7 and 1. Juan Carlos, followed by Jonathan, followed by Joao. Oh, mistake there from our leader. Again, no one seems to want to lead this race at the moment. It's the 7 of Jonathan who leads this one. Jonathan Skidmore from 7th on the grid worked his way up into that leading pack and now takes the lead as we hit the 5-minute marker. Down the front straight come our leaders. 7, 1, 4 and 5. It's Jonathan, followed by Jal. Then Ricardo. And then Juan Carlos. Those 4 cars broken away from the rest of the field. Ollie Curry trying to stay in touch in car number 10, but is off the back of these. Oh, another mistake from Jal there. Gives Jonathan a bit more gap up front, puts him into the clutches of our 3rd place man, which is Ricardo. This was the battle for the lead earlier on, but now a battle for 2nd place as Jonathan Skidmore takes up the lead over the backside tabletop. Through the far corner they go, down the step downs, into the high-speed chicane, and then onto the front straight. There's a nasty bump on the inside of that final corner, a few of them catching the bump. Jonathan just avoiding it. Our first 5 cars now closing up. Curry definitely getting into the mix in this one. 5 cars going over the double in the middle. Through the off-camber section at the back of the track, into the mountains in the middle. Six minutes down, still a long way to go in this 45-minute long European Championship final. A battle for the lead, side-by-side action as Joao tries to find a way past, going through the high-speed chicane. Can't do anything. Down the front straight they go, into the Groutner banking. Looks up the inside, not quite enough from there. Jonathan slamming the door shut in his face as they head into the green mile, landing it perfectly. Jonathan runs a little bit wide at the end in the paving stones. No room there, though, for Joao to make a move. Over the Durango double this time, into the step up, step off. Side by side once again into the off-camber section. Joao desperately trying to muscle his way past into the lead. Jonathan having none of it, though. Holding the lead down. Joao looks around the outside, going through the VRC mountains. Does he make the move stick? Side by side they go tumbling. 4 cars in the pipes. Who's going to come out on top? Jonathan maintains the lead. Ricardo Burton there running in 2nd. Closes right up as we have our first pit stop coming up. Our 3rd place car was the number 5 of Juan Carlos, pulled into the pits to get some fuel. We saw that Joao ran a 10-minute fuel strategy in the semi-finals. He's going to try and run that, I would have thought, in this final as well, to save 1 or maybe 2 stops of fuel over the others. A change lead once again. Ricardo looks the inside, landing off the double, makes the move stick. Ricardo to the lead. 7.5 minutes down and plenty of action already. If we keep this up, I'm certainly going to run out of voice by the end of this final. Our leader is Ricardo Burton. Phil from Neo Buggy tipped this as a big star of the future. A fantastic result at the Euro contest 1 week ago. Very different conditions here in the UK, though, as our 2nd place man pulls it into the pits. Jonathan Skidmore into the pits, our leader, onto the paving stones now. A nice clean stop from the 7. Good work by the pit teams up front here. We'll find out once we get this first fuel stop cycle cycled through. Out in front is that number 4 car. Ricardo Burton from Italy, driving the Orion powered Show. He leaves, a big mistake on the landing there on the left side of the circuit. Just about gets away with it, but now Jal Figero works his way back up into 2nd and is now challenging again for the lead. But importantly, we are racing other drivers who have made fuel stops. Where is this going to feed out? Both of them dive into the pits at 8.5 minutes. They need to be careful on these fuel stops, both the drivers and the mechanics. And Joao makes up that place in the pit, so excellent work from his pit team. Jonathan Skidmore back to the lead. It looks like we then got the 5 of Juan Carlos back to 2nd. Joao is 3rd in front of Ricardo, but running longer on fuel hasn't worked for those 2 guys. They've dropped down to 3rd and 4th places. Our leader comes across the mountains in the middle, into the small roller now on the left side of the track. 1st to 4th are covered by just about 2 seconds. Down the left-hand side, through the step-downs they go. Here comes our leader onto the front straight now. So they're all running more or less the same in terms of fuel strategies. Only 1 or 2 laps difference. That's about 45 seconds to a minute and a half difference in the fuel strategy. It's the 7 of Jonathan Skidmore. Leads them over the EFRA tabletops. Up through the S's they go. Catches the pipe there just before the double. Both have to single it. That's going to make it a 3-way fight for the lead. Through the step up, step off. A mistake from Alia. Jonathan touches the pipe. That's going to put the 5 of Juan Carlos through the lead. The 3 cars on nose to tail. After you, they go over the left side of the track. Through the small tabletop jump, onto the backside. It's all about power around this big sweeping corner. Then the step downs, making sure the buggy lands nice and squarely. Through the high-speed chicane and onto the front straight. The buggy's bouncing sideways through that. A 4-way battle again for the lead. Through the banking they go. Into the green aisle. 5, 7, 1 and 4. Juan Carlos still leads this one. Side-by-side action. Juan Carlos ends up off the track there at the side of the tabletop. Marshall recovers him. That drops him back from the fight, though. He is now embroiled in a fight for 4th place. That's not what he wants. He wants to be battling up front. And up front, the battle is between Juan Carlos and Ricardo Burton. Over the backside table they go. Through the far corner, down the step downs, into that chicane and onto the front straight. People thought this could be a Brit-dominated event. A lot of Brits very local to this track know it very well, but it's 2 foreign drivers out in front. Juan Carlos from Spain leads Ricardo Burton from Italy. 3rd place is Jonathan Skidmore from the UK. 4th, Jal Figero from Portugal. A very international field here at the European B Championships. The 2015 1/8 Off-Road B Championships from where? In Hartford. Our leading cars going over the left side of the circuit one more time. 11.5 minutes down. Still half an hour of racing action to go. Onto the front straight. Here comes our leader. The 5 of Juan Carlos leads the 4 of Ricardo Burton, the 7 of Jonathan Skidmore, and the 1 of Jal. Jal was embroiled in that battle for 4th, 5th and 6th, but already has pulled the gap. He has got a lot of speed in that 4th place buggy. Behind them, Kevin Brunson is running in 5th. Tony Truman in 6th and trying to get back into this fight. Tony Truman led the opening lap, made a big mistake, drops himself down to basically plumb last. Works his way back up to 6th place now and is almost in touch with the leaders. We'll keep an eye on him, see if he can mount a comeback in the closing half an hour of this race. But out in front, a 2-way battle again for the lead between Juan Carlos and Ricardo. Into the green mile they go. Into the double tabletops. Through the S's. Then the double is up next and the step up, step off at the back of the circuit. Through the off-camber section, back to the centre of the track they go. We have a battle for the lead and a battle for 3rd. The battle for 3rd goes on over the mountains, through the small roller, then the left side of the track. The battle for 3rd is between our pole sitter and Jonathan Skidmore. Jal Figero versus Jonathan Skidmore down the left side of the track. Through the step downs and onto the main straight. Juan Carlos still holds a sensible lead, about 1 second over Ricardo. Both those drivers, though, pushing to the absolute max. They know these guys behind are coming and coming on strong. Juan Carlos, followed by Ricardo. Oh, mistake there from Skidmore. Rolls it over, coming out of that back section of the track, kicking up some dust. He puts the power down. Drops himself back from the leaders. Out in front, down the front straight, one more time comes our leader. Juan Carlos gapping Ricardo Burton by a sensible amount each and every time. The gap stand fairly consistent, about 1 to 1.5 seconds. Jal Figero, though, is the man on the move. The gap is coming down between him and the leading battle. Skidmore in 4th. Brunson and Truman battling over 5th and 6th places. Truman trying to find a way past. Oh, we have our 4th place man upside down. Skidmore makes a mistake, landing off the Durango double. Rolls it over. Drops him down a couple of places. Let's find our leader once again. Onto the front straight he comes. Juan Carlos down the straightaway. 14 minutes down. One-third distance in the books. The 5 of Juan Carlos leads them over the double. Oh, rolls it over as he lands off the double. Second place man takes sympathy with him and does the same mistake. Oh my words, no one wants to lead this motor race as they come back into the centre of the circuit. A three-way battle for the lead. Juan Carlos, Ricardo, and Joao. Spain, Italy, Portugal. 3 cars together. Joao looks up the inside. Joao is through to second. And our leader comes in fuel. That puts Joao through to the lead. Juan Carlos dives into the pits. Gets that fuel stop completed. Our leaders, meanwhile, work their way over the double tabletops. Importantly, though, Juan Carlos stays in a net 3rd place on the track. So hasn't potentially got to battle any slightly slower cars. He can focus now on making the most of his fuel strategy, making that work. Our leader's going over the backside tabletop now. Jal Figero. An up and down final for him so far. Has led it, has been as low as 6th place, but back through to the lead. He's certainly not coming to the pits this time by, and neither is Ricardo. Burton behind him. Round the Gauntlet banking they go into the green mile. Still a lot of racing to go here in this 2015 European Championship final, the B Euros. These are drivers without an A licence, but this is A-class racing we're seeing at the front of the field. The drivers battle again over that backside tabletop. This is the difficult part of the circuit, furthest from the driver's stand, but still very fast and technical. Jal Figero from Portugal maintains a tiny, tiny lead over Ricardo Burton as Burton closes right in on that last lap. Figueredo hooking the lines up perfectly, but Burton's just simply faster on that last lap. First and second place together. Through the backside of the circuit they go. Through those mountains, those huge concrete lumps in the middle of the track. Over the backside tabletop and into the far corner of the track. Burton giving nothing up to Figueredo on that lap as they dive into the pits together. Once again, we're going to see a pit crew race. Who's it going to be? Both cars fueled neatly, down and away. Almost identical pit stops there from both the teams. Excellent pit work from both of them. Where's that going to shape up? And Juan Carlos is back in the mix again. Juan Carlos feels back in between our 2 leading drivers. 3-way battle for the lead now over the Durango double. Into the centre of the circuit they go. Up and over that big curbstone. It's Figueredo leading from Juan Carlos Canath. Ricardo Burton there in 3rd place. Down the front stretch they come. Side by side for the lead. Figueredo back through to the point. Juan Carlos Canoth trying to find a way to make that move work. Up and over the big curbs. Oh, Burton making a bit of a mistake going over those lumps there. Things feel like they should be quieting down a bit as we approach the 20-minute marker, but we certainly haven't got any quietening of the action at the front. Our first 3 cars are together. Over the green mile they go. Through the double tabletop. Into the Durango double now. Second place man Juan Carlos Carath pulling a slight wheelie landing. Gathers it all back up, doesn't lose any positions. There's a little bit of time to our leader. Our leaders on the left side of the circuit now. Down the front straight they come as we hit the 20-minute marker. 20 minutes down, 25 minutes to go. We're still not even at half distance. 1, 5, and 4 are our first 3 buggies. Jal Figero from Portugal with a Kosho. Oh, as we have a problem there. The number 5, yes, it is, of Juan Carlos. A flame out for him. Bad luck there for the Spaniard. Was running so strong, but he is basically out of this battle now for the lead. A 2-horse battle coming onto the front straight. 1 followed by 4. Joao followed by Ricardo. With that fight once again resumes. Behind them, it's Callum Niblett and Tony Truman, the guys who started up front, who've worked their way back up to 3rd and 4th places. They could well be playing a long game here. They had some work to do after that difficult first lap. And as I say that, Tony rolls it over in the middle. Cost himself some time and some places. Our leader at the far corner now, down through the step downs. A lead of about 4 seconds over the second place buggy. Jal Figero having to do this the hard way so far. Up and down the field he's gone. But now clear track in front of him and a decent gap behind him. About 4 seconds back to Ricardo Burton, who is in second. Slightly slow section there from Joao. That's going to allow Ricardo to close up the gap, ebbing and flowing all the time between these 2 cars. Ultimately, these 2 have been battling for the entire 22 minutes so far. They may have been battling for 1st, 2nd, 3rd or 4th places, but these 2 have been within striking distance of each other. Joao has been quick from the get-go, was the fastest man in the practice round. Ricardo was the one who struggled getting up to speed with this track here in Herts. But if you need a time to find speed, it's in the final, and that's exactly what he's done. Challenging now for the lead. He's closed the gap down to Joao, halved that gap on that last lap alone. Over the double they go to the step up, step off. Callum Niblett still in 3rd, Tony Truman is 4th. Our leaders work their way over the backside table, round the final corner. Down the front straight they come. Halfway there, 22 and a half down, 22 and a half minutes to go. Who is going to blink first between these 2 leaders? Is anyone else on a different fuel strategy going to pull them into play later on? I don't believe so. These guys are the ones running longest on fuel, and they're at the front of the field, so they are making all of it come together. And just in case we want to throw another spanner in the works, there are some black clouds looming overhead as well. We may even get some rain before this final is out. But we're going to focus on the battle at the front of the field. These 2 cars have been the class of the field really since the start of this 45-minute long final, which we are now about halfway through. Jal Figero from Portugal with the Kosho, followed by Ricardo Burton from Italy, also with a Kosho. It's a Kosho 1-2. 1-2 for Orion as well, and 1-2 for Proline tyres. Out through the S's onto the Durango double. Through the backside of the circuit they go. Joao's pulling out a slight lead this time over Ricardo. Oh, and then throws it all away in one bad landing. That's the struggles you face in 1/8 off-road racing. You can build up a lead of 1 or 2 seconds, but you can lose that in an instant just from one bad landing. And once again, the 2 cars are stuck together as they come down the front straight. Into the green mile we go. Fantastic racing here. World-class racing around this world-class facility here in Herts. The club doing a fantastic job of upgrading their track in time for this European Championship, and must be commended on producing a racing circuit which is technical and difficult, but as we're showing right now, races extremely well. Perfect for what we want at a European Championship event. the cars scrabbling to find some grip as they come out of the mountains. Into the backside tabletop they go. Down the step downs. Along the long front straight. 25 minutes down, 20 minutes to go. Into the S's, our leader, upside down, running too much of a pipe. Jal Figero has cost himself the lead there. Ricardo Burton through to the point now. A change of position at the front of the field. Ricardo Burton takes over the lead. Jal Figero, Jal makes a big mistake on landing, trying to push to close the gap down. Ricardo is going to have quite a decent gap at the end of this lap. Ricardo comes down the front straight. 5.5 seconds I make the gap to second place. A huge lead at this stage of the race. Jal Figero had done it the hard way, but now puts himself further back with more work to do. But we've seen how easy it is for these guys to make a mistake. If Burton makes any sort of mistake, that's going to pull Jal straight back into the fight. Behind them, Callum Niblett is third. Kevin Brunson is fourth. Jean-Peric Sartel is fifth. Tony Truman is sixth. Jonathan Skidmore in seventh. Ollie Curry in eighth. James Lepavot is ninth. John Holmes in 10th place with 20 minutes to go. A fuel stop there from Jal. Ricardo going to be given a very, very big lead at the moment, but Ricardo will need to stop for fuel. Over the backside tabletop goes our leader. Into the left-hand side of the track through the step downs. In for a fuel stop he comes. Let's keep an eye on this fuel stop. This is not too crucial, but it's going to come down to this. The fuel goes in, down and away. A nice, neat stop. Sounded like a struggling a little bit getting out the pits, but the engine is still running. Over the doubles, over the green mile he goes. The lead is the length of that green mile section now. Our leader goes over the Durango double. Second place, just going through the S's. Jal Figero is second. The gap staying at around 5 to 6 seconds between our first and second place cars. So our leader coming down the step downs now as Jal goes round the banking. Our leader managing just to avoid an upside down car. By the time Jal gets there, that car will be gone. It is. As we approach the 2/3 marker, we're just over 28 minutes down. 30 minutes marks 2/3 into this race. All sorts of mistakes we're seeing further down the field. But now Ricardo, as we said, has been working his pace up as we've gone through the practice and qualifying rounds. Didn't practice as well as we expected. Didn't qualify as well as he would have wanted to. Semi-finals time is when he started to come alive though. And come this main final, he has definitely got this buggy, this track figured out. Leading the main final here at the 2015 B European Championships. Our leader into the green mile now. Second place, now gets round the banking and just attacks the green mile. The gap staying pretty consistent around about that 6 second mark. Joao needs to find something in his buggy if he's going to close that gap down. Even a mistake from Ricardo won't be quite enough, I wouldn't have thought, to allow Joao to get back into a lead battle. Here we go then, we're approaching 30 minutes. Half an hour of racing is complete. We've still got 15 minutes to go. That's basically the length of one of the semi-finals these guys have already run. They've still got that distance to do all over again. Our leader down the front straight. Second place, working his way through the high-speed chicane and onto the straight now. So the gap is the length of the straight plus all of that first banking. Oh, our leader makes a mistake. He's upside down. The marshal is looking the other way. And even with that costly mistake, Ricardo hangs on to the lead, but Joao Now back in the hunt, but Joao then makes a mistake. Oh, problems with Joao. Is that a broken servo? He landed very funny. It's a broken steering linkage. Our second place man has big problems. His car being rushed back to the pits. There's definitely a break in the steering linkage or something there. That has cost him essentially a shot at this European Championship title. We've still got 15 minutes to go. Our leader down the front straight. Let's wait for this to shuffle through and then try and figure out where the order is and where the battle is on the track. That may well have benefited the likes of Callum Niblett and Tony Truman, who are having horrific races, but have slowly been working their way back through the field. Let's wait. We're into another round of fuel stops, so let's let this shake itself out completely. So, 31 minutes down. The big story there. Jal Figero, our TQ man from qualifying, pole sitter for this main final, challenging for the lead. A problem with what we think was a steering linkage on the car takes him out of contention. They have completely retired from the race. Jal standing on the driver's stand, looking the wrong way. He knows his chances of the European title are over, as we have problems with Jonathan Skidmore there in the middle of the track. His car being rushed back to the pits as well. So let's check the running order. The computer is showing 4-3-12 as being the order. Callum Niblett up to second. Jean-Pierre. Oh, our leader rolls over coming through the chicane. But he has got a massive lead. Our second place car of Callum is really 2/3 of a lap behind at this point. Everybody at the front of the field in the first five spreading themselves out. Let's pick up our leader again, coming onto the front straight. Down the straight he goes. There is our leader. The number 4 car, Ricardo Burton from Italy. I believe we had a mistake from Callum Niblett, who was running in second place. Almost a lap behind now. Our leader works his way over the left side of the track. Round to the far corner. .33 minutes down. 12 minutes of racing left here in this European Championship final. Callum Niblett running in second place, goes over the green mile now. Onto the paving stones he goes. Into the double tabletops in the middle. That's our second place car. Tony Truman is third. In fact, now Tony is third and starting to hunt down Callum. Tony is the next car behind Callum on the track. Clear track between them, but a decent way in terms of distance, about 7 or 8 seconds, as Tony works his way through the VRC mountains in the middle of the circuit. Callum comes down across the timing line now. Callum at the timing line as Tony works his way out of the big banks corner there on the left side, down the step downs. 7 or 8 seconds is the gap between second and third places. So Callum Niblett and Tony Truman done a good job here, working their way back up through the field. They both had, well, Tony had a fantastic start, got himself into the lead, but then it all went wrong at the end of that first. But he now finds himself back to the third place at the moment. So let's go and find our leader once again. Our leader comes over the double tabletops in the middle, up through the S's. That's where he is on the circuit. Our second place man is Callum down the front straight. And third place is Tony Truman, who comes onto the front straight now. So huge gap between first and second. It is a good half a lap. Second to third is about 8 seconds. Callum works his way through some back marker traffic. Through the off-camber section he goes into the centre of the track. Our leader clears the Grappler banking, then through the green mile. 10 minutes to go, 10 minutes left. The weather is definitely closing in at this point. The clouds around us are getting an awful lot darker and the wind has picked up. Have we got a final twist in the tail to come in this 10 minutes remaining in the European Championship final? We've seen so much action and intrigue up front. The guys we thought it would be between weren't playing a part in it. Callum Niblett and Tony Truman, we thought were going to be contenders for the win. Found themselves down the field, but working their way back up now as our leader comes in for a fuel stop. 9 minutes to go, 9 minutes left. Over the green mile goes our leader. That fuel stop has allowed Callum to close in slightly, but Callum will still have a fuel stop to go. Tony Truman holds down the third place. Those three looking fairly secure at the moment. But as we know with this class of racing, anything can happen, particularly as we get towards the end of these long finals. Concentration can go. The car may not hold together. They should be able to maintain it for this 45-minute final. But if any of the preparation hasn't been perfect, the smallest screw can cause retirement, as we saw for Jal Figero when he was battling for the lead. One mistake caused a breakage which put him out of contention for the title. He's now running in 11th or 12th place. Back up and running though, which is good to see, so he will complete the 45 minutes. Out in front, our leader is still the number 4 car, Ricardo Burton. Behind him, Callum Niblett still runs in second. Tony Truman there in third. It's Kyosho leading to Agamas. Orion followed by LRP and Bullet Engines. And actually, we now have a battle for second place, really, as Tony Truman has closed in on the back of Callum Niblett. They came in for their fuel stops at the same time. They go through the S's onto the double. Callum Niblett in the white, it was white and red, number 3. It's now a muddy and dirty blacky brown colour at the front of the car. Tony Truman with the fluorescent colour car rolls it over, going into the mountains. Marshall recovers him, loses a little bit of time there. So Callum making his way out onto the front straight. Into the green mile now. Tony Truman down the straight now. Our leader is working his way through back marker traffic, but doing a pretty good job of slicing his way through past those cars. As he passes Jal Figero, that will be unfortunate. We've got a car upside down the front straight. We've got a car upside down in the middle of the front straight. Hit by someone else. 2 cars now on the front straight. That doesn't seem to be involved either our leader or our second and third place men, who are separated once again as Callum now rocks down the front straight. Ricardo gets up on another car. It's got Joao stuck to his rear bumper still, but though Joao is a number of laps behind. 5 minutes and 30 seconds to go. That 45 minutes felt so long at the start of the race, but as we come into the final 5 minutes, it seems to have flown by. Ricardo maintaining a decent lead at the moment. 5 minutes left. Ricardo, Burton, Callum Niblett and Tony Truman are our 3 podium position at the moment. Far from over though. A lot can happen in this last 5 minutes. Our leader, Ricardo Burton, comes down the step downs, through the chicane onto the front straight. White, blue and yellow colours on his buggy. Over the green mile he goes. Cars crashing around him but managing to avoid them. Niblett still runs in second, Truman in third. Those two have gapped themselves out. 4 minutes to go. 5 or 6 laps. Ricardo Burton has this one well under control. Down the step downs he comes. Through the high-speed chicane and onto the front straight. Into the green mile. 56 laps of racing completed here, and we've still got about 3 more to go. Callum still second, Tony still third. May need to see one more fuel stop for these guys, or they might be able to make it through the final 3 minutes of this race. Ricardo definitely has at least a fuel stop in his pocket if he needs it. He knows that. His crew will know that. Over the double tabletops he goes. Up through the S's. Huge, huge pressure racing in a 45-minute long European Championship final. Although Ricardo knows the sort of pressure of a big class final like that. Euro contest just 1 week ago in Italy. He was the man there. He was the one we wanted to be watching. Now here at the B Euros, he's got himself properly up to speed when it matters here in the final. And leads comfortably over everybody else. The best that Europe has to offer hasn't been enough for Ricardo Burton, as we have 2 minutes of racing left, 2 minutes to go. Callum Niblett still in the second spot. Tony Truman still in third. It's Ricardo Burton from Italy. Orion-powered Kyosho out in front. Second place is Callum Niblett, the number 3 car, the white and red colours, with his LRP-powered Agama car. Third place is Tony Truman, another Agama car powered by Bullet. It's Portugal leading Great Britain and Great Britain with 1 minute to go. 1 minute left here in this European Championship final. Ricardo Burton has had a fantastic drive up to this point. He's had a lot of work to do. He's battled everybody from our pole sitter, the fastest guys in qualifying, other drivers in the race. He's going to pull it in for one final fuel stop with 45 seconds to go. They want to be safe on fuel. He's got to get it around this lap. He may have to do one more circuit around the Herts Model Nitro Club track. Getting caught out with the back mark there slightly, but it doesn't matter. A colossal lead for the Italian driver. Over the double he goes into the step up, step off. 20 seconds left on the clock. Into the VRC mountains in the middle. Over the roller he goes. Through the left side of the circuit. 10 seconds to go. He may squeak through for an extra lap. Time has expired. Ricardo Burton crosses the line to take home the B Championship for 1/8 Nitro Buggy 2015. The Italian driver worked it out for the final. Ricardo Burton is a European champion. He didn't quite make the extra lap, crossing the line as the timer expired, but now on a lap of honour by himself. The Italian youngster showed so much promise coming into this race, and he has delivered here when it mattered in this final. Ricardo Burton is the European champion. Second spot will go to Callum Nibbett from the UK, and third place to Tony Truman. For those two, it'll be a case of what might have been come that start. But our champion is Ricardo Burton. Congratulations to him, and congratulations to everyone for a fantastic final there. We saw action non-stop for that first 35 minutes. Then it was all about Burton keeping it together for the remaining 10 to 15 minutes, which he did. A masterclass of driving, showing people how it needs to be done as he comes through to take home his first of what I think could be many European Championship titles.